We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're gonna get kicked out of being number 2, you're gonna go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this chance, number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 of our 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. This is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good afternoon. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist perspective, bringing you those ADOCS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. And this segment is going to deal with the Biden administration having the unmitigated gall to even be discussing $450,000 per illegal separated from their families at the border. He has lost his ever-loving mind to think that any of these insults that he continuously hurls at American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery is acceptable. And I am quite frankly over the fact that we keep showing up to the polls since FDR, voting blue no matter damn who, to our own people's peril. We are at a $30,000 median national income. We are tethered and have been legislated to the bottom of this Titanic as the anchor of this country's capitalism. And yet nobody wants to listen to the reparationist movement when we tell you to weaponize your vote. $450,000 per illegal migrant is what the Biden administration is proposing as we suffer the highest rates of unemployment, the highest rates of underemployment, the highest numbers of homelessness, the highest numbers in the preschool to prison pipeline, the highest numbers living in being redlined in environmentally racist communities and tenement housing. The highest numbers of miseducated, where they take the public school dollars from your district and put them in white communities for their children to get a private school education on our public tax dollars. For those of us who are fortunate enough to own property. The highest numbers without homes, the highest numbers without businesses. What's up, Nikki Williams? I see you, fam. Yes, baby. I'm furious, she says. This man is one of the most dangerous in the White House. Absolutely. While the lamestream corporate with 3Ks news media somehow has convinced you that Trump's mean tweets, were more racist than what Biden administration is doing to the American descendant of U.S. chattel slavery, giving us his white pasty KKK ass to kiss. And folks want to sit up here and try to convince me that 10% of zero is better than zero. Our ancestors built the wealth and they're just giving away our reparations to all these other groups. Let's get into it, family. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. And thank you for your support of my voice in the new Black media, educating the masses, advocating for ADOCS, Freedmen B1 FBA. Welcome, one and all. If you want me to acknowledge you and read your comments, I can't see you in Facebook. I can't see you in Twitter. You'll have to come to the Reparations Perspective channel to be seen and acknowledged and be able to communicate. You have to come to Screw 2 for that. Okay, I am hotter than fish grease, as are most of us right now. I mean, I'm not alone. The entire family has been buzzing about the latest news all friggin' day. It's been the worst. So, let's talk about it. First, let me look up one thing. How much has how much has been spent on this pandemic? I call it the pandemic. How much has been spent on the pandemic? I'm just trying to get a tally. As of October 1, 2020, roughly 2.59 trillion had been spent on this pandemic for a stupid 19 that was created in the Wuhan, China labs. I can't call it what it really is by its name. ScrewTube took down a whole entire video where I was dealing with the lies from the present administration that we simply don't want to work to justify flooding the country with more migrants and giving them more of our reparations. And I had mentioned in there about what Colin Powell's family said he died from. And they said that that was fake. So they struck my entire video, not just that segment. They took the whole thing down. So I'll be speaking in code. But as of October, let's see. How much has been spent on the pandemic through today? Let's see if I can get a more current number. That was 2.59 trillion, and that was through October. Okay, it looks like 16 trillion.
This is October 12, 2020. That don't seem right. Okay, I'm going to work on that a little later. Let's jump into it. I'm just trying to get a tally of all of our reparations that have been spent between the pandemic. We all know because the Republicans outed out Fauci and the NIH followed up with, yes, $50 million plus has been spent on the gain of function research that created this stupid 19 in the Wuhan, China labs. And now ADOCS, those that are fortunate enough to have work with a median national income of $30,000 and the median national home price close to $400,000, are having to choose between getting a mandatory jab or walking off the job with no unemployment insurance. And while we're in the height of the Biden administration spending our reparations in the trillions on the stupid 19, the pandemic, on refugees, and on illegals, ADOCS are experiencing the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment and homelessness. So what Obama did when he bailed out the banks and didn't put in audits or regulations to lend our tax dollars back to us when we lost half of our wealth, our homes, under him. This pandemic is designed to finish and wipe us completely off the monopoly board and to genocide us specifically to as few in number as the Indians. So you can call me what you want. I'm over the names because I believe it is in giving too much of a damn about what people think about what we think about it that has us on the bottom of this country's Titanic as the anchor of its capitalism that our ancestors built with their lives that immigrants and white folks eat from. So we are out of time. We are at Jelani Day. George Floyd. That's where the American descendant of U.S. chattel slavery is at. We are out of time. There ain't no time over here to be mincing words and playing polite and trying to find an easy way for you to understand that you must weaponize your vote or your people are finished. A trifecta of both parties, of either party, especially the Democrats. We've been voting blue since FDR. We have a $30,000 median national income and close to $400,000 for the cost of a home. That ain't even 10%. And this Mickey Vicky has the unmitigated gall to be talking about giving more of our reparations to illegals. Let's get into it. The Biden administration is considering a plan to compensate illegal immigrant families with nearly $500,000 per person, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal. The plan is a response to a series of lawsuits filed on behalf of migrant families claiming they were traumatized by Trump-era family separations at the border. Me speaking. So we are not still traumatized from having been sold into slavery by Africans who are now in this country doing better than us. I've shared with you from a 2014 Color of Wealth LA report that Nigerians are 300 times more liquid than ADOCS. That was in 2014. God only knows what it is today. They were 60,000 liquid then to our 200. So we're not traumatized, right? From being sold into slavery, being raped on breeding farms, our men being buck broken. We're not traumatized by Jim Crow, black codes, redlining into environmentally racist communities. Over 2 million black men in jail, our kids being set up for preschool to prison pipeline, the race soldiers killing us with qualified immunity, broken families, broken homes because of the war on drugs by the government. All of this is compliments of the government, you see. There's no trauma for us. We're not traumatized by post-traumatic slave syndrome. We're not still living the vestiges of our ancestors' heinous chattel slave labor. I've shared with you guys about the cotton picking truth. You've got to watch that documentary on Prime where there's slavery still going on in the deep recesses of the South. We're not traumatized by the fact that there's black on black crimes and murders. 13% have been resolved, and yet white folks are being seen in darkened black windows, tinted windows, black SUVs with no plates, driving through our communities, shooting out the windows. We have no trauma, right? We're just expected to continue to show up and vote blue no matter who, to deliver these Democrats to our own peril. And now the Biden administration wants to sit up here and be concerned about the trauma that illegal migrants and their families experience from the trauma of Trump-era family separations at the border. You see, I've been telling y'all what Trump was doing to keep this immigration out of this country, which is the albatross around our necks, as 90% of us are worth less than $70 billion. We share less than 70 billion household dollars, while the immigrants and white folks share over 100 trillion household dollars that white folks killed and stole from our ancestors' heinous chattel slavery. Their heinous chattel slavery was a seed for the return on the investment that these immigrant and white households eat from. So ergo, who does immigration help? The immigrants and white folks. Immigration is being weaponized against us to tether us to the bottom as the permanent anchor of this country's capitalism, while giving away our reparations to immigrants and making them our new POC white oppressors. They need a way to keep their race going. We ain't never had that problem with fertility. And so they're making all these other groups whole while denying us reparations. But we're not experiencing any trauma. Dying disproportionately from COVID, preschool to prison pipeline, unarmed black men, women, and children being executed by the race soldiers by state sanction, qualified immunity. We're not traumatized. We're not owed, according to Thomas Kramer, for slavery alone, 6.2 quadrillion. And these are the very people who y'all, I know some of the people in the reparations movement didn't vote this bullshiggity in. We voted anybody but Democrats at the top of the ticket. But 87% of our electorate thought this was a novel idea. And all we got in 10, damn near 11 months is a Juneteenth festival that we were already celebrating in a hip-hop festival. And ridiculed and called names for fighting for reparations. Because we overstand without it, we're done. Back to the text. The Trump administration separated migrant families under a short-lived zero-tolerance border policy. Though families were also separated at the border during the Obama administration, according to CNN. The American Civil Liberties Union filed a class action lawsuit in 2019 seeking damages for families affected by the zero-tolerance policy. The ACLU represents plaintiffs in one of the lawsuits that pushed the Biden administration to consider payouts for illegal immigrants, per the Wall Street Journal. If the Biden administration moves forward with payments to separated families, some families may receive more compensation than the families of 9/11 victims, the Wall Street Journal reported. How about then the families that descend from U.S. chattel slavery? They won't make those analogies. 40 million. But we're not going to make that comparison. GOP lawmakers were quick to criticize the possibility of illegal immigrant payouts Thursday afternoon, accusing the Biden administration of prioritizing asylum seekers over American citizens. Congressman Greg Steube, Republican Congressman Greg Steube, Biden is giving illegal immigrants $450,000 each, but is doing nothing to help the millions of Americans struggling to pay for groceries and gas, he tweeted. We don't want to single out how much poorer ADOCS specifically is doing. While everybody eats from the wealth our ancestors generated with their lives, but us, their descendants. Quote, instead of encouraging, incentivizing, and rewarding illegal entry, the United States should be punishing it, tweeted Representative Lee Zeldin, Republican, New York, Thursday afternoon. The reported consideration of a payout plan comes as the Biden administration grapples with an immigration crisis on the southern border, where Border Patrol agents have arrested a record number of illegal border crossers over the past 12 months. Oh, you mean the ones that the Biden administration, Biden administration, encouraged to flood the country in the first place? That Trump was criticized for trying to keep out of here. So Trump may not have done anything for us, but what the hell has Biden done? Furthermore, at least Trump didn't do anything against us, besides call Africa the shithole country. Explain it to me in the chat. I'll be over momentarily. But Trump certainly wasn't trying to bring in more immigration to crush us, to take jobs from us, to run our communities, and to be able to crap on us like our white oppressors, because they are the POC and the black white oppressors. Trump wasn't complicit in what the Biden administration is doing to just genocide us to as few in number as the Indians in this country. Because that is exactly what's happening right now. Because what these illegals can do with that is build wealth here and then take that wealth and build wealth even greater in their countries where they're from. I don't understand why this has to be the albatross around our necks. Why are we in competition in a race to the bottom with Latinas, Hispanics? Why? When our ancestors built all the wealth that both these groups eat from. Immigrants and white folks alike. That's the problem I have with it. Biden looks to spend $100 billion on immigration as House explores legalization on pathways. This was today. The Biden administration is pledging to set aside some $100 billion to address immigration issues through its $1.75 trillion social spending package, as the House released its plan for providing legal status to undocumented migrants. As he takes money away from the HBCUs. The Build Back Better framework released by the White House Thursday comes as lawmakers have hit repeated roadblocks with the Senate parliamentarian over how to use the reconciliation package to provide a pathway to legal status for undocumented immigrants in the U.S. These are the people he's planning to replace ADOCS with. These are the people the Democrats are planning to neutralize the ADOCS vote with. They're constantly talking about the gerrymandering of the Republicans and the redistricting of the Republicans to neutralize our vote. Nobody talks about Biden weaponizing immigration against us to neutralize ours. The framework, back to the text, the framework includes a $100 billion investment to reform our broken immigration system, consistent with the Senate's reconciliation rules, as well as reducing backlogs, expanding legal representation, and making the asylum system and border processing more efficient and humane, the White House wrote in a release accompanying the framework. We get to be redlined into environmentally racist communities and tenement housing. We get to suffer under the oppression of gentrification. We've got the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment. And this is how the Biden administration is spending their time. To make illegals American. And we've been here 500 years. The House on Thursday also released its draft text of the bill, including a provision to allow undocumented people who arrive in the U.S. by 2010 to apply for legal status. Once those votes, it's largely placeholder text as it mirrors the Plan B option already presented by the Senate that was struck down by the Chamber's parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonnell. She said the measure was too weighty a policy change to justify passing the bill through the budget reconciliation process, which requires just 50 votes to pass spending measures. The House bill also includes a provision to recapture up to 226,000 unused visas. The close of the fiscal year meant more than 200,000 visas will expire without action from Congress, as the government failed to issue some 150,000 family-based visas and as many as 80,000 employment-based visas. Next article. Biden administration seeks to lift the U.S. refugee cap to 125,000. President Joe Biden's administration wants to nearly double the number of refugees admitted to the United States to 125,000 in the upcoming fiscal year, starting on October 1st, in keeping with the campaign promise, according to a statement from the State Department. The State Department will consult with the Department of Homeland Security and Congress to lift the cap, which was set at 62,500 for the 2020 fiscal year ending this month, the statement said. The plan to dramatically increase refugee admissions comes at a time when tens of thousands of Afghan refugees are on U.S. military bases awaiting resettlement in the U.S. Many still at risk were left behind in the chaotic final days of the withdrawal of U.S. forces. Biden, a Democrat who took office in January, promised to reverse course after his predecessor, Republican President Donald Trump, cut the refugee cap to just 15,000, the lowest level in the history of the modern refugee program. Like I said, Trump keeping these immigrants and refugees out of our communities helps us. This is the albatross around our necks. And the way the Biden and the Democrats continue to neutralize us economically. And now they're coming for our vote. Let's move on to the next. Biden administration asked Congress for billions as costs for Afghan refugees, natural disasters pile up. The Biden administration on Tuesday called on Congress to pass tens of billions of dollars in funding to keep the federal government running as lawmakers work to pass its annual budget legislation. Government funding runs out at the end of the month as the new fiscal year starts in October. As part of the temporary funding measure known as a so-called continuing resolution, the administration is also requesting additional money to address what administration officials call urgent needs, the response to natural disasters, as well as the relocation of the thousands of Afghan allies after the Taliban took over the country as the U.S. withdrew last month. The administration is seeking $6.4 billion for sites to process Afghan allies overseas and in the U.S., as well as for security screenings and humanitarian assistance. An administration official said the funding request, hold on, family, pop-up ads. The funding request will support plans for as many as 65,000 vulnerable Afghans to arrive in the U.S. by the end of September and up to 30,000 additional Afghans over the following 12 months. The money includes $2.4 billion for the Defense Department, $1.3 billion for the State Department for help with refugee resettlement, $815 million for USAID for humanitarian assistance, $193 million for the Department of Homeland Security's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to ramp up its capacity to process Afghans and put them on the pathway to legal permanent residence, and $1.7 billion for the Health and Human Services Department to help Afghans build new lives in the U.S. And where do you think they're coming? Into our communities to be the people of color, white oppressors, and to gentrify us right into extinction to as few in numbers as the Indians. Good Lord. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. I'll be over momentarily. Hold on. I wanted to find a couple more articles. Now, Virginia. Well, let me get to that in a moment. I want to go how much has been spent on the pandemic through today. I'm trying to get a handle on what they've spent. So administrative actions have been 0.9 trillion. Legislative actions 4.8 of 5.9 trillion. I'm sorry. Administrative actions has cost 0.7 of 0.9 trillion set aside. Legislative actions, they've spent 4.8 trillion of 5.9 trillion. Federal Reserve actions, they spent 3.8 trillion of 6.8 trillion. So let's do the math. 0.7, hold on one second. I'm getting my calculator out. This is more of our reparations, family, for a Wuhan lab created stupid 19 that cost 50 plus million. Hence the jab mandates, because we the people are expected to be the return on that investment. More of our reparations. So let's see here. While telling us, no, we don't have money to repair you. 0.7 plus 4.8 plus 3.8 equals. So they spent 9.3 trillion of, how much did they set aside? Stick a pin in that. 0.9 plus 5.9 plus 6.8. They set aside 13.6 trillion of our reparations, and so far to date have spent 9.3 trillion of it. Let me see, how much have the people received? I know that in New York they were giving illegals 15,000 apiece. Let's look up that. I was in New York. Let's look that up. New York gives up to 15,600 while y'all out here voting for the Democrats. New York to give up to 15,600 to undocumented migrants hit by COVID. Did you guys receive $15,000? I sure didn't. Did ADOCS receive $15,000? during the course of this pandemic? Put it in the chat. Maybe you did, and I don't know. Okay, so let's check another thing. How much money did the people get? Have the people received during COVID? And be careful, because be very careful, because this is what they're going to use to try and get votes during the midterms. They're going to use HR 40. They're already gearing up to use it, but Biden has already said we got nothing coming. Let me read that next. I'm trying to find a number here for you guys to talk about the money that's gone to the people. The other numbers I read was pretty much to line the pockets of the government. Okay, I'm trying to Google this and I can't seem to get a number. They're famous for trying to hide this bullshiggity. Okay, no time for that. Let's talk about how Biden spends our reparations on migrants and white folks to get richer at our expense while telling members of the CBC we got nothing coming for reparations. Hold on. Biden privately tells lawmakers not to expect much on reparations legislation, while he pretends to be for it on the campaign trail, pretends to be for a study. And like you see at the intro of my show, when asked about reparations, he pivots to, well, we've got to make Indians whole. Well, immigrants are the future. Get used to it. Let's read this bullshiggity. Joe Biden was more blunt about racism than perhaps any president before him, and then many in the crowd expected in his remarks commemorating 100 years since the Tulsa Race Massacre Tuesday. He called out how through the years, they could tell you all the history and still be like Obama. Obama set the stage for this bullshiggity. This is going to be a whole nother segment, but let me wrap this up with a bow, because I want to talk about what the strategy is and how we need to weaponize this vote, and how Biden is taking in the poll numbers, and how they're bringing out every Sambo to tap dance down in Virginia, because that race is in a dead heat. He called out how through the years have been members in elected office who were very public about their association and membership with the KKK. Representative Cori Bush. Wait a minute. How can he call that out when he eulogized Strom Thurmond? Look him up. He's equivalent to Bull Connor. Representative Cori Bush said in the parking lot of the Greenwood Cultural Center. He set up the scene in his speech to take us into what was happening at that time, and that was really powerful. I was so glad to hear it. You see how these coons come buck dance for the butter biscuits? But some attendees noted what they considered a glaring omission. Any mention of reparations for the survivors of the massacre and their descendants, some of whom have sued the city and state for compensation, and a full-throated endorsement of HR 40, which would create a commission to study reparations. The bill passed out of the House Judiciary Committee in April for the first time since it was first introduced in 1989. As a candidate, Biden said he supported a commission on reparations. So where's the executive order? But the administration has yet to endorse the actual bill. After his speech Tuesday, the president met with the members of the CBC who brought up the need for H.R. 40, which is named after the 40 acres and a mule, promise that now symbolizes the lack of support formerly enslaved people received from the federal government. According to those involved in the conversations, Biden let them down gently. He didn't disagree with what we're doing, said Representative Brendan Lawrence, Democrat in Michigan, the second vice chair of the CBC. He did talk about his plate being full with trying to get the infrastructure bill passed, and that he really wanted to make sure that he could get that through before he took on anything else. Sounds familiar, right? Let us win Atlanta before we do shite with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, only for that to disappear back into the nothingness from which it was birthed. Biden's biggest concern on H.R. 40, Lawrence said, is getting it through the Senate. Why? Isn't the Senate majority Democrat? Are you concerned about those Republicans in Democrat clothing that sit up here, at least 8 of them opposed $15 minimum wage, when that still won't get you in a home? You still can't pay your rent in this country on $15 an hour minimum wage. So he's concerned about getting it through the Senate. Why not do what Governor Newsom did, made an executive order? We're in California studying the reparations to come up with proposals to present. So he, by the executive pen, can give $350 million to Asian American Pacific Islanders and give them protections with enforcements when less than 1% of them are annihilated by the race soldiers. Less than 1% of them are warehoused as the not-so-new slaves in the private prison industrial complex. But you can't give an executive order to end qualified immunity. But you can give billions to the race soldiers that execute us with immunity. And you can't give us an executive order to study what the reparations should be. The bill also hasn't even been scheduled for a full floor vote in the House, where it has 188 co-sponsors. I'm done with that bullshiggity. Let me see what you have to say. Oh, one more. I want to find out how Biden's support is decreasing amongst Blacks. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you for your support of my voice in the new Black media. Joe Biden's approval rating has fallen the most among Black adults. This is what y'all did, though. We told y'all in the reparationist movement not to deliver this Mickey Ficky, this racist, this Klansman, the White House. But y'all too busy about the way I say things. Y'all too concerned about me appearing to be a xenophobe and a homophobe, because I'm all about the Black family unit. And I'm all about these reparations in the trillions over multi-generations. So 87% of y'all do this, and your numbers still ain't waning low enough in support of this ignoramus as far as I'm concerned. This man who is spending our reparations on everyone but the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, while telling us there's no money for that, while telling us, just wait, just wait, just wait. We've been waiting since FDR. Joe Biden's approval ratings are falling among almost all demographics, with the percentage of Black adults believing he is handling the role as president well dropping the most. According to a Pew Research September poll, Biden's overall approval rating stands at 44% compared to 53% who say they disapprove of his performance in the White House. As noted by Pew, this is a reversal in Biden's job ratings from July, when 55% of Americans said they approved of his job performance compared to 43% who disapproved. The results are also part of an overall trend of Biden's approval ratings falling since around August as he faced criticism over introduction of the vaccine mandate, as well as over his handling of the withdrawal of U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The survey found Biden's approval rating has fallen among most demographics and political groups, including the Democrats. One of the biggest concerns of Biden is the dramatic fall of approval ratings from the Black, Hispanic, and Asian demographics, where he is seeing some of the biggest declines. The poll states that 67% of Black people in the U.S. said they somewhat or strongly approve of the way Biden is handling his job as president, down from 85% just 2 months prior, a fall of 18 percentage points. That's what I mean. I don't understand why this man ain't at 18% in approval. How the hell he only has 67? How is he as high as 67%? It has only given us Juneteenth and a hip hop holiday, when our people are on the bottom in every metric, as he gives away our reparations to immigrants and white folks who killed and stole all the wealth that our ancestors built with their lives. Let me see what y'all have to say about it before I pray y'all out and settle myself down. Jamie, what's up, fam? Thank you for coming back on the second live. Nikki says, Office of New Americans. Let's talk about the Office of New Americans, how that was Obama's, that's what he gave birth to. The Office of the New Americas is setting up all over throughout every major city state throughout the country to flood the country with migrants before making ADOCS American, with reparations in the quadrillions over multi-generations. According to Thomas Kramer, we are owed 6.2 quadrillion with a very conservative interest rate of around 3%. 6.2 quadrillion. So the Office of New Americas is thanks to Obama. You see him signing it in my intro. Tanya Princess, what's up, love? I see you, fam. Hello, sis. Sending love and light to my warrior sister. Thank you, my love. Thanks for being on the live. Nikki says, yes, we're the most traumatized group in the nation. Tanya says, our trauma is sustained. We are the most dispossessed group in America. American 1476, the Democrats stole the Black people's votes to get elected. Philly, Detroit, and Atlanta. Honey, I don't put nothing past these sleazy-ass Democrats. Obama stuck his nose into it along with Kuhn Clyburn to co-opt an entire primary that looked like it was going the way of Bernie Sanders. That was the second time those primaries had been co-opted. I put nothing past them. Miss Lady K Love, I see you, fam. She's pissed. Baby, we all pissed. Join the family. Join the tribe. How do you give another group over the American people, period? And this is why I pray that Virginia does the right thing and slam the Democrat that's running for office down there, because everybody's been down there coon dancing for the Black vote until they no longer need it. That's the plan you see unfolding right before you. The weaponization of immigration against ADOCS to neutralize our vote, since they've successfully neutralized us economically. We cannot afford to be at the table. Ergo, we are on the menu to be extincted to as few in numbers as the Indians. I'm not going to wait until we're there to talk about it. I am sounding the alarm akin to Dr. Claude Anderson, who you heard at the top of my intro, who's been sharing with us for over 30 years. This is the plan. And it's happening in real time. So I'm done being nice about it. I don't think I ever been nice about it. But I'm done feeling a damn thing from all the name calling and folks trying to neutralize my voice, because we are at Jelani Day and Mr. George Floyd. Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, Sandra Bland. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't have time in this segment. I got to wrap it up. to go through all the names of the fallen unarmed Black men and women and children at the behest of the race soldiers by state-sanctioned qualified immunity. Miss Lady K Love says, but this is a huge slap in the face to Friedman. Biden hasn't done a damn thing. You're absolutely correct. Nikki says, because Biden has an agenda to create a voting base. He's the worst president to us since Eisenhower. But I had to say to our people, I told you so. You know it, Nikki. We screamed it. Vote anybody but them damn Democrats at the top of the ticket. And they went out here 87% and put this into the White House. They have set us up for our own peril with our own votes. Nikki says, because Biden has an agenda. Okay. Patricia Woodard, I see you, family. What's up, B1? Patricia says, oh, Lord. It's like the biggest psyop ever. Yes, family. She goes on to say, at least we had an offer on the table from 45. That was empty. He wasn't going to do shite. But what he wasn't going to do was create a bigger albatross around our necks, akin to Chauvin's knee being on that of Mr. George Floyd. That's what the Biden administration is doing to the American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, whose wealth they killed and stole. That's all of our wealth that they're living off of. Our ancestors didn't intend to have their lives be used to create the wealth, only for us to not be able to partake in it. But this is what happens when you've been neutralized economically and folks have encouraged you to just go to the gas chamber silently and sit there until your people perish. This is what happens when you buy into this nonsense and you allow the name calling to shame you into speaking up and out about the nefarious plans to genocide your people and to make you the permanent anchor of this country's capitalism with 3 Ks. Because that's what folks try to do to me on a regular. But I got a daughter that I got to leave this United Snakes of America with 3 Ks too. Preferably I'll have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So I'm in this fight. And I don't give a damn about nobody's feelings over the way I speak about these nefarious plans to extinct our people, including our people who want to fight me and tell me at least we got 10% of nothing. It beats 0. And want to do little slick shit in the damn race book to try to come for me. Honey says, getting in this fight, my skin is super tough. I don't give a damn. I got to speak up and out about it, lest we perish. I'm trying to shut the government down by weaponizing our vote. With a red top, blue Congress, blue top, put the motherfucking red Congress in there and shut it down. That's all we've got. Spread the word. And I ain't missing words. Oh, vote dim down ballot. Because clearly, y'all didn't understand what that meant. 87% of you went out and vote a trifecta. Scared of the boogeyman Trump, who ain't done nothing to you but tweet some mean shit. While Biden is in a full-fledged nefarious plan to weaponize immigration against us, to tether us permanently to the bottom as the anchor of the country's capitalism, because that is what capitalism requires, a bottom cast. And this is a 100-year plan since we fought for immigration. Many of them who are very ungrateful and call us all kind of heinous names and buy into this white bullshit racist trope, expecting us, like our white oppressors, to pull ourselves up by our bootless straps and create businesses. Why don't you? Buy into these white racist tropes that we're lazy, no good, no count, don't want nothing for ourselves. They don't talk about how we've been legislated to this bottom. Nobody wants to talk about that. And then want to look at me crazy because I'm the angry black woman. Well, damn it, call me what you want. But you're not going to get away with this on my watch. I don't care what you call me. ADOCS included. Yes, I'm hotter than fish grease. And had we been hotter than fish grease and leaned in from the time they murdered Dr. King and Malcolm X and the Panthers, perhaps we wouldn't be on the bottom in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Perhaps Biden would be sitting up here talking about giving away our reparations in the trillions to illegals. 400, damn near 500,000 per illegal because they were separated from their families at the hot damn border. When they shouldn't have been trying to get in this country in the first hot damn place. Now the ACLU has gotten involved. Where's the ACLU to fight for our 6.2 quadrillion for slavery alone? The tab I got includes Jim Crow and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage. Where's the ACLU fighting for our humanitarian rights? Our tax dollars are being weaponized against us to give immigrants a more American life than we ever have to this day. But y'all keep running out voting for this. Patricia says, at least we had an offer. Okay, no, that was empty. He wasn't going to do shite. I'm just saying, we wouldn't be suffocating under this the way we are now. Patricia says, it was Barry's policies that started the separation of children from families because sexual assault of some of the minors. No anti-lynching bill either. No, ma'am. She says, I feel like I have been hit in the stomach. Yes, ma'am. They don't give a damn, sis. $450,000 per person sounds about right. So a family of 4, that's damn near $1 million. Cynthia Adeyemi, what's up, fam? Uh-oh. It jumped on me, y'all. Oh, Lord, I'm sorry. Oh, y'all been busy over here. Okay. I'm not going to finish till I'm finished. I'm going to read these. Patricia's Woodard says they even cheated for him. Yes. Obama came up and picked up the rear during the primaries to have all the other Republicans and Democrat clothes fall on their sword to make way for Biden. If you recall, Kabami was 4th here in California, could not raise money after we, the reparations movement, blew her ass up about her heinous, atrocious record against ADOCS here in the state of California. And then Tulsi Gabbard finished her off on the debate stage. She couldn't raise no money. She could raise it from Hillary, her crooked ass, but she couldn't get it from us. Okay? And so the only way Obama and Kabami could get in was through the back door. And with 87% of our electorate voting for this bullshitty. So yes, Patricia, you're absolutely right. Obama stuck his nose in it like he does every damn thing to keep us tethered to the bottom because he's a part of that nefarious agenda. His no to reparations is why we here watching our reparations be spent on an entire pandemic and all these immigrants. His no to reparations is how we got here. That's a whole nother show. Cynthia says those ADOS who put these folks in office have post-traumatic slave syndrome. Democrats. She's crying, laughing over my term. Absolutely Democrats, baby. Lone chopsticks. Democrats fooled MLK. And he led y'all down the hill. We should have stayed nationalist integration with everything. I don't know what that means, lone chopsticks. I know that MLK was executed because the last 3 years he was fighting for reparations and the Poor People's Campaign. They're okay with him fighting for access to the toilets and to sit at the same, to sit and eat at the same restaurants and access to white women. They were fine with that. Okay. They killed him because he was coming for reparations, as you see or hear and see in my intro. That's why he was executed. Cynthia, don't forget the bootlegs. Honey, plenty of those, y'all. Tanya says, I just had to end a combo with my politically immature young boomer friend talking Hold on 1 second, sis. Talking personal responsibility bullshit. Tanya, you know you got to cut them off, child. You cannot cast your beautiful pearls before swine. Don't they make you hotter than fish grease, child? Everybody wanting us to pull ourselves up by our bootless straps. With a $30,000 median national income and a $400,000 median national home price. But we're the problem. Not that this government, because my issue is not immigrants. If you in your bag, you're choosing to make it personal to try to silence me. But I'm not falling for that. Because my issue has always been this government at every branch. Legislating us and stealing from us and killing us and allowing us to be killed. Kyle Rittencracker murders 2 people and permanently disables another at a Black Lives Matter march. And you can't even refer to him, the people, as victims. They're going to be referred to in court as looters. But this is somehow about us not pulling ourselves up by our bootless straps, right? Terry McAuliffe is part of the Clinton clan. Oh, I hope he fails epically. Virginia, y'all need to share this video in my prior one about the Howard students protest with Virginia. We don't need them blacks showing up to deliver anybody from the Clinton clan with 3 Ks on both words. Y'all got to defeat them. It's a close race. I pray that the Democrats fail epically. And that's the only way we get their attention, family, is to lock the government down. If there's a blue top, vote a red Congress. If there's a red top, vote a blue Congress. They can't get shite done. Their ideologies will keep clashing. 2024, red top, blue Congress. To protect the over 50% of ADOCS who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism until we can replace the lanes with full-chested cash reparationists. That needs to be our square for at least as long a time as FDR, or until they cut the checks in the 6.2 quadrillion over multi-generations. Plus, I want reparations for Jim Crow, black code, redlining, accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage. That's as big a check as I want. Multi-generational like you do the Jews and other groups. Okay? Cynthia says, oh, Terry, what's up, Terry? I see you, family. Cynthia, we got to fight for our kids in the next 10 generations. Honey, we not only have to fight for the next 10 generations, we can never let up. Because what you're experiencing right now is a byproduct of boomers letting up. Once they got access to white women, access to the toilets, access to affirmative action, once they got their free education and their high $50,000 a year factory jobs, they got their homes, they got their security, and stopped fighting. They got comfortable, they relaxed. And so, ergo, our affirmative action benefits white women, immigrants, and LGBTQIA. Now, I'm not talking about you boomers who are in this fight. I appreciate you. But far too many are not. And they're selling their real estate and not leaving their kids a hot damn thing. I know that some of them can't afford to hold on to their properties because gentrification makes the property taxes go through the roof. So they can't afford it on Social Security. Many of them can barely live to support themselves. It's scary. So it's not like we can ever let up on this fight, because once we procure it for exclusively our group, we're going to have to fight to keep it for our group. They're going to be coming up with all kinds of ways like they've done in the past, like they did the 40 acres and mule. They gave that as a Homestead Act, 93 years to white folks to make white immigrants and white slave masters rich. They gave our white masters reparations. and took away the 40 acres of the mule. That's how we're here. So we not only have to fight, we have to fight for the rest of our lives, and we have to teach our children to fight for what is rightfully theirs. And we have to keep a secure enough gate up, lest our reparations be like our affirmative action, benefiting everyone but us. Cynthia says, family practice self-care because this is a marathon that we must be healthy to run. Amen, sis. I lose my ish over here, but child, you can trust to believe me and my God are thick as thieves. My inner Christ, meditate, pray, work out, stay hydrated, family. Stay hydrated. Okay, so please, self-care, but fight too. Get your rest, work out, lose the extra pounds. Get rid of everything in your life that makes your body a COVID playground. Get your rest, pray, meditate. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. This water is infused with a touch of maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and limes. It's delicious. It's refreshing. And I can get it down about 2 of these a day. You have to hydrate because otherwise you make your respiratory COVID playground. You've got to take your whole food organic vitamin supplements. You must rest and you must work out. You ain't got to do nothing strenuous. I power walk. Get out there, power walk. Start in 15 minutes. Do something. Move. Yes, Patricia. Red top, blue bottom. Now that's in 2024. Right now, we can't do anything to unseat Biden and Kabami. So we must deliver a red Congress right now. Let everybody feel the suffering. That's the only way you gridlock government. We have to slow the Titanic down until they cut us our checks. And we as a collective have to move like a block. If we, the majority Black folks, don't do this, they won't be able to see the strategy of how we're locking it down. We need to do it ad nauseum. You need to spread the word and teach it. And don't waste time on folks that don't want to get it. You need to fight. That's what this show is about. This show is about drawing full-chested reparationists who believe in cash repairing the quadrillions over multi-generations and allies. It ain't for everybody. So don't try to sit up here and waste your energy on folks who refuse to get the 100-year plan to extinct us to as few in numbers as the Indians. You ain't got time for that. Speak to those who want to be spoken to. Speak to those who want a solution. Blue top, red Congress. Red top, blue bottom. 2024, red top, blue Congress. 2022, blue top, red Congress. It's all we got, family. We've been neutralized economically. All we got is a vote, and they're looking how fast Biden is moving to replace the Black vote. Hispanics and Latinas already outnumber us. And by and large, the immigrants are damn near 100 million in this country. Or at least that's the plan, to get them to around 100 million to our 40 million. We're not growing in numbers, we're declining. From state-sanctioned and deputized executions of the glacier donkeys against ADOCS and all the other nefarious plans and agendas working against us. All at the same time. Patricia says, I like 45. Well, I don't really give a damn about 45. I'm talking chess over here. It ain't a personality contest for me. I don't like none of them. They're all racist Klansmen on both sides of the aisle. They don't mean anything good for Black folks. I'm talking about a strategy that's going to help us fight legislatively to change some stuff around and to get these reparations. That's all this chess move is about. If we lock it down, we slow it down long enough for them to see us and for us to fight for what we're long overdue. Because it is their intent You see, HR 40 been sitting on the shelf since 89 until the Reparations movement, formerly the ADOCS movement, got involved and started lighting things up in the social media spaces. That's when you saw it on the debate stage. That's when it became a thing. We made it a thing the last election cycle. And so although you don't hear much about HR 40, we've morphed into other groups. I'm not going to sit here and name who I'm working with because I'm way too controversial and I don't want to bring any trauma or any spotlight to the groups I've decided to associate myself with. But there are we are the co-founders of the former ADOS movement. And we've gone on to morph into these amazing butterflies. And we are fighting day and night. When you don't see me live, I'm in the trenches on calls, coming up with plans and doing all manner of things to put pressure on the Biden administration. And that's what your support of my voice in the new Black media does. It enables me to grow the movement to critical mass, to educate the masses and convince them as to why they need to be in this fight, especially ADOCS. We're not at critical mass. We should at least be at 10% of the population in this movement fighting. So I'll come over here to make that case. Educate the masses while advocating for our people. Unapologetically, might I add. I see you, BB. DJ Segwan. Jim Crow Joe is a conservative fronting as a Democrat. Absolutely. He eulogized Strom Thurmond. He was Strom Thurmond's protege. Crooked Hillary. She was Barry Goldwater's girl. Look it all up. Republican Barry Goldwater. That's who she was working on his campaign when he was running. BB says, louder facts. Cynthia, righteous anger. You know it. Tanya says, Breonna Joy and copycat Cori Bush are puppets still echoing universal class project BS as canceling student loan debt while we're being evicted out of being American. Honey, we were never made American. We can't be evicted from something we never achieved in this country. But that's the fight, and I'm glad to be on the right side of the fight and the right side of history with all of you. Satra Delry 360, I see you, my love. Terry, okay, I said hello to you, my love. I think I'm almost done, maybe. He's giving all the ladies love. I feel you, fam. Satra says, and those boomers kicked us out of the house as soon as we graduated high school with no direction. Honey, and that's why we're struggling to this day. This is what made us vulnerable and susceptible to things like the war on drugs sponsored by the government. Cynthia says, girl, you coming up with phases, COVID playground. You know, one of my dear friends, JBO, is constantly laughing at my ageisms. Girl, you know how when you from the Midwest, child. Hey, listen, I am the daughter of an original Ohio player. So, you know, we wax poetic. We get poetic in the heat. You understand? We wax poetic. Everything we do is a song or some type of lyric or some type of phrase or some type of angism. Thank you for noticing, fam. My girlfriend tells me all the time, you need to make a book because this stuff you be coming up with. I love to laugh and have a good time, but I'm serious about my people. Tanya says, I have an educated boomer loved one that broke my heart with their cognitive dissonance, neoliberal black faces in high places. Vote blue no matter who politics. See, look, all of us are creative. Everybody gets it on the creativity. I hear you, fam. Honey, you know, you got to fire family and friends. You really can't even have these conversations. Honey, they make you want to blow a gasket. Sylvia says, at Tanya Princess, leave that boomer where they are. Your energy will be better. Oh, it's Joe. Leave that boomer where they are. Your energy will be better spent with the like-minded folks. Tell her, Cynthia, that's what's up. Tanya says, I know it's my issue as an empath. Baby, We're all empaths. That's why we're over here screaming at the puckery. It's hard for me to give up on my people. I've taken a hiatus from social media and blocked those that lash out at me to deny truth. Honey, sometimes you got to take a break, child. You really do. Call them by their name. Illegal aliens. Come on, baby. Because you know they're trying to even change that too, right? To make it more palpable. Let me tell you something. The weaponization of immigration will never be palpable for Angela Nirvana here over at the Reparations Perspective. It will never be palpable. I don't care what you call it. I'm calling it what a TI is. A plan to extinct us to as few in numbers as the Indians while giving away our reparations. And with that being said, family, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. I'm sorry, family. Woo! I'm in my feelings about this one. Because why, family? You are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until the next time I'm able to come over here and share the puckery with you. You make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening. Know that I love you, Black family. I love you so strong. Stay tuned for the outro. Weaponize that vote, family. Socialize the suffering. Teach it. Spread it. It's the only way we're going to survive. We must move as a block. Peace, family.